Okay. Hi guys. If you already not subscribed to Salesforce Techbook, you can subscribe to Salesforce Techbook. We have a different kind of playlist on different areas of Salesforce, and you can follow my blog salesforcewalker.blogspot.com. And for example quotes of sessions, whatever the sessions I'm giving in the Salesforce Textbook, you can go through this GitHub link because people are asking me for source codes always. But you can see this link in every presentation of videos and playlist of YouTube channel of Salesforce Textbook. You can go through that, and we have a Salesforce Textbook Facebook page. You can follow there also. Okay, so let's start what we are going to do. So let's start with this good quote from Gita. Everyone makes different choices. We become different when we choose something right. Okay, so I'm speaking. Someone is asking, are you able to hear me? Can you hear me? Monica, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
your voice is audible. Yes.
Okay, Monica, can you please ping in?
Yes, I just pinged them in the chat.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you very much. So what we are going to discuss, basically why we started this. So now the people who are doing administration jobs or who are learning administration, people are confusing where to start if they want to start coding in Salesforce and how they can start. What kind of concepts involved in Salesforce coding? This is the confusion from a different kind of different people who are doing admin jobs or who are learning Salesforce um, and who are confusing. This is for that kind of people. Let's see what kind of concepts involved in development or what way to start. This is very important concepts, and this is very important thing what you have to know to start coding in Salesforce. Don't start anything blindly. You should know what kind of things you have to do when you choose the technology and when you want to do something in that technology. Now you already, as per, I am assuming that you already know administration in Salesforce. Now you want to learn coding. Then what kind of things involved in coding? What are the concepts involved in coding and where to start? Okay. So let's see. We have in any technology, we have programming language, and we have UI technologies, we have integration concepts and migration, deployment and data migration. So you just see that whatever I'm going to present now, all are in the sequence. Okay, you can consider it as a sequence of the all the concept, where to start and where to begin. Okay, for example, if you see, I am talking from programming language, that is the first one, and then UI technologies, and then integration and deployment and data migration. These kind of things on, this is the sequence you have to learn. Now we are going to see what kind of programming language we have in Salesforce coding and what kind of UI technologies are there or available for Salesforce coding, and how we can integrate, and do we have anything to integrate with the different kind of systems and migration. Once you implement everything in Salesforce, then how can you migrate? Once you implement everything in sandboxes, basically in any real-time environment, you have sandbox and production environments. Okay, when you implement and tested your implementation, then how can you migrate your components into another box, that is production, that is live environment. Okay, that's what, these are all the things you have to learn as a developer. Let's see what is there as part of programming language. So as part of programming language, we have Apex. Apex is object oriented programming language like Java. Okay, it looks like Java, but it has a slight differences. In different things like DML operations, SOQL, SOSL, these kind of things. But it looks like Java. If you already Java developer, it is added advantage to learn Apex. You can easily understand. But don't think that you don't have programming background and you don't know Java, you don't know C++, then you don't know .NET. Now I can't learn Apex. Okay, don't worry about this. You can learn Apex. You have proper material from Salesforce as well and from different experts as well. And you can learn Apex easily if you are not having programming background also. You just need to put your efforts. Now, what you have to learn as part of Apex? First thing is, you have to know if you are going to learn anything in any programming language, you should know what kind of data types are supported by that language, and how you and you should know the syntax of or rules of your programming language. How can you define the variables, how can you define the constants, and how you can manage the expressions, and what kind of things are supported by that programming language. Okay, and classes, interfaces, properties, collections. In Apex, you have list and set and map. You should know list and set map collection types in Apex, because you are going to learn, you are going to use, or you are going to use your knowledge on list, set, map in everywhere in real time. Okay, this is very important concept. And classes, interfaces, properties. I suggest that if you don't know anything about OOPS concepts like object, what is object, what is class, and these kind of things, what is interface, what is field, these kind of things, if you don't know, you just have a look into object oriented programming also. Okay, you don't need to know everything in the object oriented programming language. You should know few basics. And S objects means, if you know about Salesforce, you already know Salesforce. So we have different kind of objects, Salesforce objects, like standard object, custom objects. When you are going to work with S object, this kind of objects, you can use S objects generically. Don't worry, we are not going deeply. You should know these concepts. Now, conditional statements also. These are all basic things you have to know. And you have official document from Trailhead that development for admins, development for developers. Okay, Apex basics for developers, Apex basics for admin, you can learn also. And database concepts, data manipulation language, and SOQL, Salesforce object query language, Salesforce object search language. So basically here, data manipulation language in SQL, if you know SQL and any other databases, there you have to use commands to insert records into database, right? And there you have to write a different kind of syntax. But if you know stored procedures in SQL, so such a way you are going to do DML operations in Apex. It's very easy to do DML operations in Salesforce. And you don't need to maintain the connections like ODBC, JDBC connections, or different kind of connections between the back end and front end. You don't have such kind of things in Salesforce. You are working on a platform where you have already connectivity to your database. You just need to follow how you can perform the DML operations on your records. That's what you have to know. Okay, and Salesforce Object Query Language, SOQL. So basically, it is like a SQL. Okay, SQL is SOQL is useful for retrieving the records from Salesforce. But here you have to know one thing. In normal databases, you have star, select star from object name. But in SOQL, they are not providing star, but they are thinking about it, but soon they may introduce. Okay, so but when you want to query from a Salesforce object, then you have to specify the fields, which fields you want to query. That's what you have to know about SOSL. SOSL for searching on multiple objects, Salesforce object search language. These are the things you have to know as part of database concepts. Now, what else we have? So first thing, once you have this kind of basic idea, what you have to start in Apex, you have to start triggers. Triggers is a very important concept when you want to achieve something based on the events occurring on an object, like insert or update or delete, or restoring the record from the recycle bin. For these kind of events, whenever you want to achieve something, then you have to go with triggers. And here you can say, in other words, whenever you want to automate some process, which are not, which you want to automate the functionality from business, then you can use triggers. But when you are going to use triggers, you have to check the things which are possible by automation tools or not. Like you have workflows and process builders, right? You have to check those things before you are going to choose triggers to automate any business process. Okay, let's talk about asynchronous Apex. What is there under asynchronous Apex? We have future methods, and whenever you want to perform whenever you want to perform functionality asynchronously, then you have different kind of concepts in Salesforce Apex language, right? future methods, batch apex. Okay, it works, or it helps you to process a lot of records, up to 50 billion records, and queuable apex and apex scheduler. You just go through these kind of things from apex developer guide itself. You can find out those things, and even our channel, in our channel also you can find out batch apex, these kind of things. But and you have every official document. I see always that do you have real time examples, and do you have material, and these kind of things. Okay, don't think about all these kind of things. Whenever you are unable to understand the official document, when you want to go deep, when you want to go deeply, then I suggest go with this official document from the technology provider. So from Salesforce, we have all official documentation. When you understand the concept, you go through, or you deep dive into more and more through official documentation from Salesforce providers. So why I am saying that today we are saying that one limitation, but tomorrow Salesforce is going to give you more things on that, and now no more limitations, right? Such kind of things also you have to know, and you have to know the deep knowledge about it. And coming to real time also, don't think about real time examples and real time things. What you have to learn real time means, okay, when you learn one real time concept now from anyone, from everywhere, anywhere, then if you go and if you step into any company, or if you are starting your work, you may not have the same thing what you learn. What you have to learn basically, for example, you are doing Amazon, Flipkart, or simple, lot of e-commerce site, lot of things you are doing in day to day life. Then you just think about it, how I can apply my knowledge, how can I achieve this kind of things. Then try to apply. Even you fail, it is okay. That is the kind of real time knowledge. And one more thing is, you just try to have a domain knowledge also. If you are going to work with the e-commerce or a mobile, banking sector, this kind, and education sector, this kind of knowledge also you should have. Then you can apply that kind of knowledge when you are implementing something related to this kind of domains. That is very important. Okay, domain knowledge is important than real time knowledge. So once you have domain knowledge, you can apply in real time also, and try to think about what kind of knowledge you have, how you can apply. Then you can get to know where you are and how you can research more. That's what you have to examine yourself. And apex testing, let's talk about apex testing. Test classes, basically, when, so to provide the code quality, we have to do unit testing through apex code. Okay, so this apex test classes is for testing your functionality through Apex code. You can say unit testing through Apex code on your Apex implementations. That's what you have to do. So, and whenever you want to move these Apex classes to production, from sandbox to production, then you should maintain at least 75% of code coverage with this Apex test classes. You can have a look more in documentations. And dynamic Apex. So I think you may not hear this. Dynamic Apex is for accessing a subject and field describe information. What is the meaning of it basically? So whenever you want to know whether this specific object on field is accessible for the um, logged in user programmatically, then it will be useful. Not only access permissions, not only accessibility, you can get more properties from this. Just have a look into that, and you can get the Salesforce app information. Along with that, dynamic SOQL queries, dynamic SOSL, and dynamic DML. We already discussed, we have a different kind of, we have DML statements and SOQL, all the things. What is the difference here? Dynamic SOQL is in the format of string, or SOSL also. Then what is the need, what is the purpose of this? Whenever you want to frame your SOQL queries or SOSL in runtime, these things will be useful. And what about dynamic DML? So dynamic DML helps you to do partial operation, partial data manipulation. For example, if you have 100 records, you 90 records are having false information, but 10 records having success information. So when you want to make it success for 10 records, and you can escape, or you can ignore 90 records, then you can do this. But while you are doing this, you should be careful. And secure coding, after this you have to know secure coding. how you can code Apex code securely. That's what you have to know. So you have to avoid cross-site scripting attack, and you have to avoid insecure construction of database queries. I give you this link. You have different kind of secure guidelines from Salesforce. You can go through that. Different kind of things you have to take care while you are writing Apex code. Okay, this is important. And coming to this, Apex governor limits. So as Apex runs in a multi-tenant environment, okay, it enforces some governor limits. So what kind of governor limits you have in Apex? So for example, total number of SOQL queries issued per transaction 100, and total number of records retrieved by SOQL queries 50,000. So why do you need to know this kind of Apex governor limits? While you are working in real time, when you get the requirement, how you can think about it? What the requirement? Is it going to exceed the governor limits? If it is exceeding the governor limits, how I have to code? And how I can avoid this kind of governor limits? Because it enforces, it fails your code if you are not, if you don't know this kind of governor limits. So focus on this also. You should know governor limits, what kind of limits I have in my technology where I'm going to code. Then you can give, or you can do proper coding, and you can give best inputs. Now, coming to user interface technologies. So when Salesforce begins, okay, so we have Visual Force and Lightning technologies. Okay, so let me tell you one, sorry. When Salesforce begins, we have only Visual Force framework for designing the user interface or designing custom user interface on Salesforce. But now we have Lightning components. So in Visual Force, what you have to know: controllers, Ajax tags, and data binding and data processing. You have different things. You have to go through that Visual Force. And Lightning, when you want to implement any Lightning component, you have two programming models. One is Lightning Aura component, which is introduced when Salesforce introduced Lightning Experience, and Lightning Web Component. Recently, they introduced for implementing Lightning component again, but which is built on web standards completely. So then you may have some doubts here. So are we, do we really need to learn Visual Force? Nowadays, everyone is asking for Lightning components, especially Lightning Web Components only. I suggest learn all three technologies. You never know in which kind of technology, in which kind of project you are going to work, because they may be migrating from Visual Force to Lightning, or they are working on Visual Force still. Okay, and they may be migrating from Aura components to web components for increasing the performance or some other reasons also. Then you should know the base technology. What is the previous technology? Then only you can think of the another technology where you want to migrate. I suggest don't neglect any UI technologies in Salesforce. You just try to learn. Then you can focus on that. Now, data migration. So what kind of things we have in data migration? Let's see. So we have data loader, import wizard for data migration. Along with that, we have SFDX also. If you know SFDX, Salesforce Developer Experience, there you have the possibility to move a data from one org to another org through deployment also. Okay, you can learn about it, but you have the possibility. And data loader and import wizard also, I mean inbuilt tools, like you can download data loader from Salesforce, and you can use that standalone application. But import wizard is an inbuilt tool in Salesforce. You can use this on Salesforce interface itself for importing the records. It supports. Okay, and SFDX, Salesforce Developer Experience, helps to migrate data also, not only components, with the help of deployments. And integration. Now everyone thoughts that okay, I have 2 years of experience, I have 4 years of experience. Okay, do I need to know integration? Do I need to say that whether I know integration or not? If I say I don't know integration, then they don't select me. So just avoid this kind of imaginations. If you have, okay, you may not have the chance to work on integration even you have 5 years experience also. But what you should have, so as you are 5 years of experience developer and you are matured developer, you should know the concept at least. That's what interviewer expects. You got my point? Yes, you didn't get a chance to work on like integration in Salesforce. That's why you may not know everything in the real time, but you know how to do. That's what you should have the answer. Anyway, what you have to learn as part of integration. You should know callouts, REST callouts, SOAP callout. That means whenever you want to connect to external system from Salesforce, then you have to use callouts. It may be REST callouts or SOAP callouts. Web services. Whenever you want to expose your custom web services in Salesforce to another application to expose your data to another applications, then you have to write web services. Okay, here you can write either REST service or SOAP service. REST service will be in a URI format you are going to expose once you write the class. Okay, you can find out these classes also in Salesforce textbook if you want, and SOAP also there. SOAP is in a WSDL format like XML format. Once you create a class and you can generate a WSDL and you can give it to the external system to use. Okay, and integration patterns and practices. You have different kind of integration patterns and practices in Salesforce. You should know these kind of concepts also. What kind of integration patterns are there, how you can do that, and how you can follow. And coming to APIs, do we have any out of box APIs to expose data or metadata or for different kind of functionalities from Salesforce? We have different kind of APIs, REST API and SOAP API. Don't get confused about the previous things what I said. So previous things, callouts, web services, and callout and web services. What we need, why we need those things? Whenever you want to connect to another external system, callouts, and whenever you want to expose your data to external systems via your custom web services, then you need to write your own web services. But when you don't need to write web services, so when you don't need to write web services because you already have REST API from Salesforce to share data and to do manipulations also. When the standard REST API provided by Salesforce is not supported by your requirement, then only you have to write your own web services. Otherwise, you can give these links and you can explain this to external system with your own authentication mechanism. Okay, now with your own authentication mechanism which is supported by Salesforce. SOAP API, Bulk API, and Streaming API, Marketing Cloud REST API, and User Interface API, Metadata API, Tooling API, Charter REST API, Connect REST API, Social Studio API. These kind of APIs are there. You have more APIs also. You can have a look into that in a docs developerforce.com. If you open that, there is a resources menu. There you can see the docs and what kind of resources you have, what kind of guides available from Salesforce. You can have a look into it. Okay, and these REST API, these things you can learn after you learn all the things what you said, what we said before integration slide. Okay, then come back to this. Then it will be useful for you and you can understand once you complete callouts, web services, and then you can understand remaining REST API, these kind of things also. This terminology you can understand. Okay. Now deployment. Deployment you can do different ways. Through Chainset you can do deployments. You can use Ant tool and you can use SFDX. Nowadays everyone is using SFDX as SFDX is supporting DevOps also. And we have different kind of vendors also. They are coming up with a different kind of Salesforce native DevOps also. You can choose anything according to your client or company or employer, whatever it may be. Okay. And you have different kind of approaches for deployment. The standard approach is Chainset. It is easy approach, declarative deployment process. You can connect, you can choose the components and you can deploy to another or by using or by selecting the target. Simple. And this is also there in Salesforce textbook. You can see that. So you can have a playlist and you can open, you can understand what is there in Salesforce textbook instead of saying from my side. And so that's it. That's what you have to start and you have to pick up your knowledge. And before we are going to move to question and answer session, I want to say something here. So basically, if you like this session and please practice well. And here I want to ask something. If you can, after this session, if you can, only no mandatory things here, help one person who needs food one day in this week, because a lot of people are lost jobs and a lot of people are lost work because of this pandemic situation. And don't think about only beggars. People are not ready to beg, who are not having the food also, who was working earlier but not able to get the work. Please try to give something to them to get food if possible. And guide the people. If someone asks you for guidance, don't ask for money for guidance. That will help you. Okay, if someone asks you, give guidance. If you know, if you don't know, you say no. Simple. And refer the people if you know anyone who needs job. So for example, nowadays everyone is posting in LinkedIn also, I lost the job, I mean I need help. When you see that, so don't think that they didn't ask me directly. Okay, it may be I can ignore that. Don't ignore that. If you have jobs opened in your organization, please refer them if they are interested. Then it helps them. Okay, that's what I want to ask from this session, nothing else. Okay, now question and give answers. Anyone have any questions? Hello,
Conducting couple of sessions for giving training on this Salesforce development.
come again.
Are you going to teach us like a Salesforce development everything in this
uh,
WebEx every week?
No, not every week. We plan, but we are not going to promise. Okay, we take any topic and we are
Okay.
going to say that. But we are not promising
Okay.
that we are going to tell everything in Salesforce. But everything is there.
Okay.
Whatever we are giving course, whatever we are giving the things or we want to contribute, we are giving through Salesforce Textbook already. Please open playlist. But we try to give
Okay.
this kind of sessions also now and then.
Okay. Okay. Understand.
Yeah.
And if we want to do the certification, I am asking you openly, how the dumps are, we can trust. We are practicing it more and more, but we don't want to go for the fail of exam, right? That's why. Can we do trust dumps as well to
Okay.
pass the exam?
Okay, I do not recommend dumps, but you
Hmm?
can consider dumps as a reference, how it looks like,
Yes,
what
I
kind
used
of
to.
kinds.
I mean that only
Yeah.
because we are investing around 15,000 of money, right? And we are reading more and more, but unfortunately or fortunately, we may not get the same questions right what we read. So, are we good to go with the dumps as
Okay, that's what I do not recommend dumps
well?
for sure. But I recommend them as a reference, and you have different kind of sites also who is providing the
Okay,
quiz and these kind of things. You can go through that.
okay,
And my recommendation is first of all go through the guide by Salesforce. What is the guide? They are giving you guide for certification. These are all the topics. This is the percentage we are going to give the question,
Mm,
and try to know what kind
okay,
of knowledge you have on that. Okay,
okay,
that gives you
okay,
confidence on technology,
okay,
not only certification.
okay.
Okay.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay, certification never represent your knowledge, I'm telling you.
Exactly, exactly. And if you are going to conduct a one more session like this, can you please conduct it on the triggers if possible?
Sure, sure.
Because I am very new to the Salesforce, I am learning in journey to Salesforce, so
May you
which
know your
is
nice name?
my name is Murli.
Okay, Murli, we definitely think about it. I think people are asking more questions. Let's do you have any other questions? Okay. Monica, can you please open that questions and say something? What are the questions we have? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I will go
The
through it.
one thing.
I'll go it. I'll go it.
Oh,
I'll go
okay.
through that. The first question is, So for development beginner, what you would suggest? Learning Apex, SQL, and Visual Force. Yes, the sequence, whatever the sequence I did today in today's demo, the same sequence you have to follow. You can follow. It will be better for you. And is there any Udemy course for the same that you can suggest? Okay, so from our Salesforce textbook, we have Apex triggers, and we are going to include LWC, and about other things I can't suggest right away. And I suggest before you are going to spend money, you try to go through the things what you have the resources. Okay. And how long will it take to complete the development if I practice 1 hour daily? Okay, if you practice 1 hour daily, it will take what is that? It will take more than 2 months or 3 months. Okay. Yes, it's based on your understanding. Aman, right? Yeah, Aman, it's based on our understanding. It takes 2 to 3 months, but you have to spend 1 hour with more concentration, nothing else. Okay. For development, it is Saurabh. Yeah. For development, it is better to practice on Developer Console or Visual Studio is better. Okay. So please use Visual Studio. It is always better because Visual Studio gives you a history also, but Developer Console don't give you. And it is the best thing to do code from IDE only. Good. Welcome, Saurabh. Thank you, Aman. Always, if we provide anything, it's free only through YouTube or through this kind of sessions. We want to help the people, and even people are asking me that people are trying to reach me that if someone is asking guidance, they are asking for money. No, no money involved here. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? So So if you are not subscribed already, please do. I mean, you can follow my Facebook, Salesforce Techbook Facebook page, and you can follow GitHub link. Let me give you all this link. So you can follow my blog and all channels and Facebook page. Okay. Then you can see all the information from Salesforce Techbook. First, from Salesforce Techbook Facebook page only. I mean, from Salesforce Techbook YouTube channel and Facebook channel. And for source code, we have already a GitHub link. You can have a look into that. Are you going to share the recordings? Yes, I will include this in Salesforce YouTube channel directly. You can find out it. So under general playlist, you can find out this after this session. So I think only 15 minutes. Do we have any? I mean, how much time we have, Monica? So we have 15 minutes session. How much time we have?
Till we have 20 minutes more.
Oh, 20 minutes more. Yeah, you can ask many questions then. Anyone have any questions? Okay. So then let me give you. So are you able to see my browser, Monica?
No, it's still blank.
Okay. Let me do that.
One more question from the chat they want to ask you.
Yeah, please go ahead. Proceed.
The chat.
Yeah. Tell me that question, Monica.
What is the sequence of certification that you would suggest? to make a switch for 1 year experience?
Okay, I suggest that first of all you complete admin and platform developer one. So when you open Salesforce Textbook, I want to explain how you can use Salesforce Textbook YouTube channel also. So you go to the playlist and you can see that all the concepts, okay? And soon we are going to include whatever I explained, like Apex Basics. We didn't include that Apex Basics in Salesforce Textbook channel. We started with advanced things, but we are going to include. A lot of people are asking me to include. Soon we are going to include. And we have administration, and you have mock interview questions sessions also there, and web components, visual force, a lot of things are there. You go through that, and you have version control system and deployment, general topics, and message service. A lot of kind of things are there with the help, I mean, in the form of playlist. You can find out and you can easily learn. That's how I prepared for contributing. Okay.
One more question, Lavanya.
uh,
What is the right time to make a switch for 2 years experience?
so what is the experience? What kind of
What are the
experience you do? You have already Salesforce experience or something else?
Aman, can you answer me?
So
Yes,
you
yes.
already have 2 years experience, right? And why? What should I prefer? Okay, so you can switch once you learn development also. But don't think too much that. Don't wait for 2-3 years for learning the development. You learn what is necessary, then you can proceed. So it's based on your confidence level. I suggest start attending interviews, then you can get to know what to do. Now, Monica, are you able to see my Salesforce Textbook channel?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's visible.
So someone is asking one more question. Okay, someone is asking Saurabh, right? What is expected from Salesforce resource generally? And like there are a lot of rules on Salesforce market, like consultant. The meeting will end for all participants in 5 minutes. 5 minutes only we have. On Salesforce market, like consultant architect, I am asking from a developer point of view, what is the best sequence of rules that one should adopt, like admin, then developer, and so on. See, yes, you have different kind of roles from Salesforce side, but when you step into companies, they have different roles according to their company policies. Okay, and according to their roles, your work will be in different way. Okay, sometimes even your Salesforce consultant, you may be say techno functional consultant or only functional consultant. Okay, when you are going to adapt any project, when you are going to step into project, then based on the work you are going to work on that based on the functionalities. I suggest you should know both admin and development, then you can survive. That means, I mean, if I have admin only, I can't survive. I am already surviving. You may ask me question. I am not talking about that kind of survival. You have good future if you know development also. Why I am saying that? For example, if you go as a consultant will talk to clients and they give the solutions and these kind of things. But if you know development also, then you can give more input, more best input from you, whether it is possible through administration and Salesforce. Then with that help, you can give the answer that whether it is possible through the Salesforce or not. Then you can think of alternatives also. So through Salesforce, do we have any other alternatives without out of box? So in that way, you can give more best input. And coming to roles, you have developer role and consultant roles and architect roles. All roles are there in different companies also. but it is based on the company you are going to work. What kind of work you are going to do is different. Even you are a consultant, you have to do code also based on your project and company. Even you are admin, sometimes they will ask you suddenly that can you learn code and do. Instead, giving chance, why don't you do that before ahead? Okay, and don't think that development is a very complicated. It is very easy when you learn. What is the best practice for learning flows? Okay, so for learning flows, first of all, learn what is flow first. I mean, start from the beginning, why we need to use flow. And recently they introduced flow builder also, and why we need. And you just go through that videos from Salesforce, then you can have it and you can go through that. Wazir, yeah. So don't worry about best practices first of all. First of all, learn everything.
Okay.
Then you know the loopholes and you get to know what is going to happen if I don't do like this easily.
Excuse me, Balaji, one more minute.
Uh-huh. One more minute. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So please subscribe to Salesforce Techbook and let's plan other sessions also. I thought someone asked me triggers. We'll think about it. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. All the best. Happy weekend.